I got to bring up a story. I'm going to pivot a little bit. One of my favorite stories I want you to share is your trip to China.
Oh boy!
And you were lucky enough to get an opportunity to go to China to do some music. The two of you back in you said 2004 or something like that.
Yeah.
But you got to tell me about the story when you actually were sick at the Great Wall, because that's a classic.
How we got to China was the long and short of it is that there was a couple. She was the main musician. She was like a star out there in Beijing, and her husband was a Hamiltonian, a Canadian guy, and he approached a bunch of studios apparently, and we were one of them, to do a mix of one of her songs because they wanted to export Chinese music and do American production and then re-import whatever, like get this business thing going.
Yeah.
So I did the mix. They liked it. They chose it. So we ended up flying out to China for this business opportunity. We were 23, 24 years old.
Yeah, about that.
And,
when you were on the plane, were you like, what the fuck are we doing?
100%.
Right?
Well, no, we pulled an all-nighter the night before, and it's like 24 hours to get there between the stopovers and everything. So
Man.
when we were on the plane, I think we were sleeping. But
no, it was madness. I mean, to be honest with you, you have to remember, like 2004. This is only a couple years after you opened the studio. We're talking about with the gear that we were using at the time. I was able to do pretty decent work with what I had.
Sure.
But like, I was not recording on a Neve, or we weren't using anything real deal. No upboard gear, no nothing. Not that you needed it, but just
Is that what they had you working on when you got there?
Some of the studios we went to, they had like full
Sony
on
Music of China, of Beijing.
Wow.
I walked into this massive, crazy building with all these rooms, and I was like, they let us in the room, like, okay, we'll be working here today, and I'm looking at all the gear, and I'm like, I gotta figure this shit out really fast and get on top of it, because they got a guy flying in from
Japan or something.
From Japan to do drums for this track.
I don't know.
So so
Man,
they
their
wanted
budget must have been ridiculous.
There's a lot of people
money.
with money there. Yeah. So
yeah. So I got paid too. Like, it wasn't like I was just there to prove anything. Like, they paid me for the session, and they wanted to see my miking techniques and what I would choose from their extensive mic collection. And so they
actually kept their mics in an incubator. Like, I worked in laboratories before. Like, incubators are where you keep samples at 37 degrees or whatever. They actually had their tube mics in incubators.
Wow.
So when you pull them out, they're already like warm.
Yeah.
So you have to wait for them to warm up.
That's amazing.
It was pretty wild.
We're like, okay.
So
we don't even have a fridge.
Yeah. Air conditioning.
We still need to get curtains, man.
Yeah.
A door would be good.
I wouldn't say it was a fake it till you make it situation, but it felt pretty close to it.
Yeah.
It was like, I ended up like, obviously I knew what I was doing, but it was like obviously on a grander level than I was used to is all. But once I kind of sussed myself out, gave myself an hour to get comfortable, I was like kicking ass. It was a great day.
Yeah.
And they loved it. We had a great day there. But to get back to your story, that was one of the many days. I think we had 3 or 4 days in a couple different studios, but that day it was like a 10-hour day mixing.
Near the end of our trip.
So it was close to the end.
Yeah.
So it was like 10 o'clock. These guys were like, okay, we got a guy flying in from Shanghai who wants to meet with you. He's a big producer. He want, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, I'm beat. Like, we have to go meet the guy. He's got to go to this dinner thing. I'm like, okay, well, let's get going, that kind of thing, right? So we go, and we it's like a tapas kind of.
Yeah, it was like
restaurant.
One of those Lazy Susan things, and just food everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
This guy's allergic to fish, fish
and eggs. I don't eat eggs either, so I don't know if it was raw eggs or something.
He seems to think he knows what I ate. I don't remember what I ate. I was so damn tired at that point in the trip and that day. But specifically within 10 minutes we got out of there. The meeting wasn't long. We got in the car. The driver was taking us back to the hotel, and I just like, he's looking at me. He's like, "Man, you all right?" I'm
like sweating. This guy's like sweating.
I'm like white as a ghost. Apparently,
like,
from what he told me,
it's cold.
Yeah,
it's like same weather
window
we have
wide
here.
open.
Really?
I'm trying to catch my breath, buddy. I had never been so sick in my life. To this very day.
And then this guy just says, "Hey, let's go check out the Great Wall."
The plan was we were going to go in the morning to the Great Wall, and he was basically doing me a solid and being like, "Buddy, if you don't come,
we're not coming back.
You're never going to regret it for your whole life." It was a 3-hour drive to it too, right?
Yeah.
Like, everything about it was a nightmare for me. But the story that makes everybody laugh so much about it, who knows us well enough, is that when you got to the Great Wall, I could hardly even walk up the stand, and it's so grand. I did what I could.
Beyond sick.
These guys took off to go do their adventure. We went on a 2-hour
hike. We left Carm like sort of a third way up the mountain.
Good luck, buddy.
And there's a lot of people there that are like looking for a handout or selling stuff or whatever. And but they cling on you, man. Like it was this. So I had this one lady who like, and I wasn't going anywhere because I had to wait for these guys. So I'm walking up a couple flights, coming back around, but she was just on me and just not letting down. And I was like, trying to keep my cool and be polite and stuff. But then she started getting like really nasty with me and like swearing at me. And like, so after these guys finally get back.
Why are you so cheap? Why are you so cheap?
She hated
I asked him that the other day. No, I'm joking.
I even gave her a couple bucks. That was the thing.
Two hours. I come down the mountain 2 hours later after taking all these pictures up on the Great Wall. It's like really cool experience, right? And I knew saying like, let's get back down there. Let's go home. Like he's probably dying down there, right? I get back and he's frustrated. He's like, man, we gotta go. And I'm like, dude, what's your problem? Like, relax. He goes, this lady's just following me around everywhere. She keeps saying, buy a picture. He's like, I gave her a few bucks already. I don't want to buy any pictures, right? And sure enough, I'm there.
Yeah, it was so
2 seconds later, she was like,
buy
a picture. Buy a picture. She walked a half an hour back to the car with us. And I was,
are you serious?
Oh, yeah, I was laughing the whole way down, and he was just like, I think I have a
Speaking
picture.
do you have a picture of it?
I think if I get it, I'll give it to you. I'll put it up.
Send that to me.
Here we go.
Put it up. I think it's a picture of him like kind of with his head down, if I remember correctly.
Because if you got it,
like,
it's going on
like,
right now.
In mid, she's like in mid sentence of like buy a picture, and Carm's just like,
just gave up.
I will say I was glad that Adrian made me go because he was right. I would have regretted not going, but man, I was in no condition to be anywhere. Like,
man.